let this not end. What do you think? Do you also with me on this one? That feeling is in all our hearts. Many of us didn't know each other, and Jaiminji made sure that in the very first session, he directed us that we should get to know more and more and more people, and I'm sure all of us have tried that. Yesterday's schedule was packed, and today's was even more hectic. Yesterday we had sessions after sessions, and wonderful sessions really. The plenary sessions, the breakout sessions. I could take a glimpse of many of those breakout sessions as well. And I think the discussion and the dialogue, the conversation was going deeper, much comprehensive. I loved each one of those conversations that was going on. Towards the end, in the evening, it was an electrifying bhajan session that we all enjoyed thoroughly. I was thinking that how the sky looks different throughout the day. In the morning it looks different with the orangish shade. In the afternoon it may be blue, some clouds may come, and then the evening again. And then in the night it is star-studded. Like that the moods of our Hindu YUVA Summit throughout the day were changing. From something that is more making us reflective, something that is making us more thinking and applying our minds, some things which brought us together, and some things that created that energy, that collective energy that would create. So the different hues of the sky, like that different hues and moods that throughout the day we went through. And that too in such a pious location as this BAPS Mandir in the Southern California region. You know, we are in Southern California. They say that if you have to do something earth-shaking, you can do it in Southern California. You know why? Because there is an earthquake almost every day. Just the day before our summit started, there was an earthquake here. And many of those who were here, they felt it, I think, early in the morning. And then those who flew to LAX, they know that if you come to LAX and you want to reach to your destination, that gives you ample time to bond with all those who are traveling with you. 2 hours, 2.5 hours, isn't it? And so we enjoyed that also. But jokes apart, I think this area, Southern California, as far as we Hindus are concerned and the whole history of Dharma and Yoga in America is concerned, this is one of the epicenters of that also, not just of earthquakes. This is an epicenter of many, many dharmic activities, yoga activities that got introduced to America here. They got established here. Some of you may have gotten a chance to go to Mount Washington near Los Angeles downtown, which is the headquarters of Self-Realization Fellowship. Or if you go a little away from here in Pasadena, there is the Vivekananda House, not the one Vivekananda House that we are running, but a house that Swami Vivekananda stayed for weeks together, not just once, multiple times. And that is preserved as is. So that is also kind of a pilgrimage place for us, a tirth. Or you can go to the wonderful ISKCON Mandir. And of course, right here we are in the BAPS Mandir. These are divine well springs, spiritual fountainheads, where anybody who is thirsty for true knowledge, transcendental knowledge, spirituality, they can come here to quench their spiritual thirst. All these places exist right here in this Southern California. That's where we are having this second National Hindu YUVA Summit called Sankalp. Very interestingly, the first one happened in Chicago. And that also has its own importance, where Swami Vivekananda gave his very first speech in the World Parliament of Religions. And now we are here, where that message that Swamiji brought and captivated the American audience came here, became more settled, more sustained, and spreading from here. I believe that the first book that Hindu Yuva has published, the Hindu-American mosaic, I'm sure all this is covered in that one. So I look forward to reading it. I'm sure all of you look forward to reading it. Please make sure that you don't just read, but pass it on. Make that as your tool to go and reach out to more people. So I think it will be available very soon, and we can all do that. So the location was just appropriate, wonderful. And then I was looking at the logo, beautifully designed, of Sankalp. You must have noticed that Anandibai Joshi's figure is there. She is looking straight. She looks very focused. She looks determined. She looks as though she knows exactly what she is doing. Isn't it? A simple picture of hers conveys all these messages, I believe. And then there is the swan, the Hamsa. In our tradition, Hamsa is the symbol of Vivek, the power of discrimination. Discrimination not as is bias. Discrimination meaning discretion, to be able to choose between right and wrong. That is Vivek. So Anandibai Joshi symbolizes the power of determination, and Hamsa is representing the power of discrimination. Together, it is the power of Sankalpa. In our tradition, in every spiritual tradition that was born in Bharat, whether the Vedic tradition, the Buddhist tradition, the Jain tradition, any tradition, the power of Sankalpa is explained. The firm belief is there that anything that happens in this world is through the power of Sankalpa. Sankalpa meaning powerful, good intentions, an inner resolve. Not just the New Year resolutions that are meant to be broken in a couple of weeks, but true intentions which are deep, honest, sincere, to be followed through. That is the power of Sankalpa that actually drives the entire world and each one of us, where we have the power to not just be ourselves, not just to be able to make an impact, but actually transform and transcend. Transcending is only possible through power of Sankalpa. I was reading that many times in wars they take prisoners of war. The prisoners of war, which are basically soldiers, they are fighting for a cause. And these are experiences of anybody. Even during the Holocaust, those who were being tortured and they were kept, many of them, they survived. Those who survived and those who didn't become victims of the violence, although they went through tremendous hardship, all kinds of inhumane conditions, those who survived on their own was through the power of that intention that I still want to live because I still want to contribute. I still have something to live in this world, to make a mark in this world. Those are the ones who survived. Otherwise, Anandibai Joshi had opposition in Bharat. When she came here, she had to face a lot of discrimination. Of course, there in Bharat also, there were people who supported her. Here in America also, there were people who firmly supported her. But she went through the whole thing just because of that tremendous power of intention, the Sankalpa, that she had in her heart. That I want to go back and serve my countrymen, especially women, who are suffering because of the lack of enough doctors, women doctors in India at that time. So that bigger goal she had, and that made her continue through the journey. That is the power of Sankalpa. Otherwise, how do we explain how Stephen Hawking, who at the age of 21 was diagnosed with ALS, and it was continuously deteriorating throughout his life until he was in his 70s, I believe, when he passed away, but continued throughout his life to contribute to science, to physics. to astrophysics, and unsurpassed contributions, even in that kind of physical condition, what else can explain that other than the power of Sankalp? Isn't it? But there is something called collective Sankalp as well. But we'll come to that. I would like to introduce one concept. A Japanese concept you may have heard. It is called Ikigai. How many of you have heard about Ikigai? There's a book. Oh, wonderful. What Ikigai is, that's something that you're really truly passionate about. The purpose for which you live, that you have discovered, you have found out. And hence you are good at it. It also fits in what is the need in the world, what is the larger good that it is going to achieve. And that also helps you sustain in your life, meaning financially also. That is Ikigai. Each one of us have our own Ikigai. In our tradition, we call it Swadharma, my own dharma. There is a larger dharma that was beautifully explained by Swamiji yesterday, even today's session. The universal aspect or universal dharma is there, but in that I will have a particular role to play. And each one of us has it. To be able to find that out, to be able to discover that Ikigai, what is my Ikigai? Where if I can find it and if I apply myself through the power of Sankalpa, I will succeed in actually doing something much more than what I initially would believe that I can do, or even the world will believe what I can do. Because that will allow us to reach the state of flow and be effective in all our actions. Achieving that Ikigai, that Swadharma, is also part of this Sankalpa. Because if it matches, the Sankalpa matches with my Swadharma, then there is effective action. That is also called as yoga. Bhagavan Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yogastha Kuru Karmani. That you do actions being centered in yourself, that is yoga. All this is connected. But then we are also talking about our collective Sankalpa. And that's where Hindu YUVA comes in picture. And I'm so glad that we have come up above those basic questions of how to start a chapter, how to get people. Now we are talking about hundreds joining the events. Now the question will be how to handle 1,000 people. How to handle 2,000 people when they come. How to organize ourselves better. Those are the questions that are there in our amongst us. How to involve more and more people in our executive board. Those are the questions. And I'm so glad that yesterday we discussed, we also had the model GBM or the various forms of GBM. And when we go back, I'm sure we will do it. Together we can decide that we want to make an impact on this American university landscape. What are we planting? What kind of fruit-bearing trees are we planting through Hindu YUVA on this landscape of the American universities? Those trees that will continue to remain for a long time and that will continue to nourish generations to come. Because our work is not just for one generation, 2 generations. We are starting something that will continue for a very long time. And hence, it is very important that our collective Sankalpa also is sincere, focused, arrived at through that kind of process of coming together. Raghavji mentioned about togetherness. It has become so important in this world where there are 8.5 billion plus people and maximum number of people in the history of mankind who feel lonely. That is a contradiction of our times. Loneliness on a crowded planet. That's the contradiction of our times. That there are many, many, many people on this planet, but there are a very few who I can connect with. And those opportunities are shrinking. The atomization that Raghavji spoke about. So togetherness is important, but togetherness means what? You see, now you'll be taking a flight to go back to your places. So everybody in that flight is going to the same destination. All of you are together in the flight. But then that is not togetherness, is it? It is just all people in one physical space. Just being together in a physical space is not togetherness. So that has to graduate to connectedness. Do I feel connected? So when you came, took the flight and came, and you were picked up from the airport, and you may be in a minibus or vehicle, you may not know others, just like you may not know the other people in your flight, but you started feeling connected immediately, instantaneously. You started talking, and the connection was established within no time, wasn't it? So that is connectedness. Here we felt connected. But here we went one more step. Not just felt connected, we felt one. Were there moments in this summit where we all felt one? We lost our own individual small identity, and I felt that I am part of something larger, something bigger. That spirit of oneness, that's what we want to create. From togetherness to connectedness to oneness. That is our collective Sankalpa. That we build these communities on campus through Hindu YUVA, where especially Hindu students will come. But we have no problem, we can expand, we can include. That has been the Hindu thought always. That is the essence of being Hindu, to include people, inclusiveness. We have no issues including more and more people who also can feel that connectedness, who can also feel that oneness. And only we can do it because we have that spirit. If you read great thinkers of the world, they have always pointed out to Bharat and the thought coming from Bharat that here we have that spirit that can be created. So we have a special role to play, and hence I said that what can we do on this whole American university scene together. And through Hindu YUVA activities, every time we think of a variety of activities, and let us create that impact bit by bit. Bit by bit. Yesterday we had a very enriching session on mental health, the dharmic perspective of mental health. It is an issue. Even in the last summit we spoke about it. It has become quite an issue throughout the world, especially in the Western world, everywhere really, but especially in the Western world. And then I think Kavita ji mentioned about Jonathan Haidt and his research. He's a social psychologist. And he says that in this whole social media era, what we are facing, especially the generation that is growing up in this period, is there are 4 things that are harming this generation, especially the younger generation, that they are feeling socially deprived, social deprivation, that lack of connectedness, and many problems emanate from that. Then there is sleep deprivation. You see, here also we are sleep deprived, but it is different. Here we may be feeling sleepy, physically tired, but still happy from within. You see, sleep deprivation that also makes you sad from within is the problem. Not the one. This can be overcome very soon. Tomorrow you go and sleep a little, couple of extra hours, and you'll be done. And you still feel happy and energetic and enthused. But that is a different kind of sleep deprivation that is happening. Lack of quality sleep. Restlessness, which is giving rise to fragmented attention. You see, all of us also, just if we reflect a little bit, even we are victims of it. Not just the current generation, even the adult generation. We are victims of that kind of situation where our attention is fragmented. We cannot focus on anything for more than a couple of minutes. We have to touch. That's why I kept my phone in the bag. Let it be. It may vibrate. It may divert my attention. Keep it away for some time. That's what is happening, and actually it is giving rise to an addiction to all these things. So technology is wonderful. Technology should be used. But we have to overcome or offset these things that, especially social media, is bringing to our lives, which are harmful to us. And then Jonathan Haidt suggests 6 spiritual practices. And he calls them spiritual practices. One is calling it as shared sacredness. Shared sacredness. I prefer the word satsang, because that's what it is. You can also call it your GBM. GBM can be your satsang. To be in a good company where you speak about moral things, about culture, about something that uplifts your mind. Anything that takes you beyond your little physical self, in a collective setting, a shared setting, where we all cherish it. So shared spirituality, or shared sacredness rather. Then he uses a word called embodiment. I don't know why he calls that, but in our tradition we call it nitya karma. Something that you do every day. A little puja, some yoga, some dhyana, physical exercise, making your muscles stronger, eating the right kind of diet, making sure that you make one phone call to somebody, some friend, for no reason, just to find out how he or she is doing. Anything like that that you do on a regular basis that becomes part of your life. That routine that keeps you strengthening from inside. So that is embodiment, he calls. Then he calls another one called stillness, quietness, and focus. Maybe through some chanting, through some dhyana, or just reflection, or maybe writing a journal, or just sitting and watching on some beautiful part of nature. Stilling the mind, focusing the mind. That is necessary. Then he says self-transcendence, big word. But simply what it means is that you do something that is for the well-being of others. It can be seva, as it was mentioned again and again. Then he mentions about being with nature, spending time in nature. And then he also says that we have to have an attitude which is less judging and more forgiving. Just last week, there was the Paryushan Parva. In the Jain tradition, people will say to each other, Michhami Dukkhadam. Have you heard? All of you heard. You must have said to each other also, that please forgive me for something that advertently or inadvertently I may have hurt your feelings. I didn't mean it. Please forgive me. Having that kind of attitude, you see, even to run Hindu Yuva chapters, we will need that. Because we want to work with people with all kinds of temperaments, backgrounds, thoughts, perspectives, moods. We want to, you see, that's why I started by saying that we are inclusive. To be inclusive, we have to develop that kind of attitude. And all these practices will develop that kind of attitude. So what Jonathan Haidt is saying is exactly what we are doing. All these things we did in the past 2 days, all these things you will do through Hindu Yuva or any such activity that you are involved in. So that is the answer. That is the answer that is there with us already. All we have to do is practice it and promote it. It's there on our T-shirt in the back that we will practice, we will promote, we will protect, and we will promote. So this is what we will do. You see, we have wonderful values, no doubt. It was mentioned again and again that we believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That the entire world is a family. And that is true. It is there in the Mahopanishad. In various ways it is said. In the Vedas it says that Yatra Bhavati Vishwam Eka Nidam. May this world become like a one nest. And we are nestlings. So we are one family. But you see, we have to be aware that we do believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the world is one family. But apart from the Upanishads and the Vedas, it also appears in Hitopadesha. All of you know about Hitopadesha? Panchatantra, Hitopadesha. These are childhood stories, aren't they? But if you go back and read those stories, you'll find that, hey, it was not just childhood stories. those stories have some good meaning that even I can draw some lesson from. How to make friends, how to keep friends, all those things. So in that one, this particular phrase, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and the entire shloka is there. All of you know, Ayam Nija Paro, if you know it, you can say it with me. Ayam Nija Paro Veti, Ganana Laghu Chetasam, Udara Charitanam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, isn't it? That this person is mine and this person is not mine. This is a petty-minded thinking. For large-hearted people, the entire world is one family. But in the Hitopadesha stories, in 3 different stories, it always comes from a negative character in the story. In one particular story, it is an old lion who has lost its capacity to hunt and feed itself, finds a little rabbit and calls that rabbit. Late in the evening, is getting a little dark. He's sitting in front of his den, and the rabbit is of course scared of the lion, so he starts running away. The lion says, "Don't worry, please come. I'm a very old lion. I cannot even run fast. Please come near me. Nobody is there to talk to me. I'm also feeling lonely." So then the rabbit stops. Lion is asking to stop. "You better stop." So he stops, and then the lion says, "What is in your hand? It's shining. It is so, I can see it." He says, "It's a golden bracelet, Suvarna Kankan." "Oh, can I see it?" The rabbit shows from a distance. The lion says, "You see, I'm so old, my eyesight is so weak. Can you come a little closer?" Now the rabbit, the instinct is telling him, "Don't go, don't go." But the lion is so overpowering, and he's saying, "Please come closer to me. Please let me see it. I won't do anything to you." So then the rabbit comes a few steps closer. And then he shows. The lion says, "Can you hand over it to me? I'll give you back. Can you come closer?" Then the rabbit goes closer and hands over the golden bracelet to the lion. What do you think the lion does? But before that, the rabbit reacts, saying that, "No, I won't give this to you. This is mine." Then what does the lion say? "Ayam nija paro veti, ganana laghu chetasam, udara charitanam tu." Why are you thinking that that's your bracelet? So I'm also part of your larger family. Share it with me. Show me. And then he takes and obviously pounces on the rabbit, devours the rabbit. In another story, a wily fox, he tricks one deer, and the deer has a smart friend in a crow, and the crow is warning him, then don't be friends with that wily fox. But eventually, the fox, sets a trap. At that time, the crow is again warning him that he doesn't belong here. He's not from our forest. He's not from here. He's not ours. Then what does the fox say? "Ayan nijapparo veti ganana laghu chetasam." Why are you dividing the whole thing? Everybody is one. And then the fox actually throws the deer in a big hole. Luckily for the deer, the crow is smarter than the fox, and he turns it around, the story. The point is, why is the Hitopadesha story putting this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam shloka in the mouth of negative characters who are trying to trick people, trying to do something bad to harm the other person, other animal? What is it that the writers of this Hitopadesha are trying to tell us? Are they trying to tell us, don't believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam? That's not what they are trying to say. They are saying that we believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam does not mean that everybody believes in it. So beware, watch out for those who will want to use your own values against you. So that protect part that we have said in the 4 P's is to protect ourselves and our entire community, and entire dharmic community in the world, from people and forces who may be for dividing humanity. They are not for uniting humanity. So we have to watch for such people and to be able to effectively counter such people. So while we are doing wonderful things, noble things, dharmic things, coming together and succeeding in making our chapter stronger, we have to watch out for such challenges that we may face And many chapters have done it successfully. We can learn from each other about that also, because eventually we want to make sure that dharma prevails and dharma is established, that this becomes the dominant thinking. And in that one, it is not only Hindus. There are a large number of people around the world who may not call themselves Hindus, who may not be seen as Hindus, but they are also on the path of dharma. How we can collaborate with such people, starting with all the organizations who are here, to create our own ecosystem, on campuses, outside of campuses. I'm so happy that so many organizations came, right? And they were part and parcel of the activities. Not just that their own sessions, but they bonded, they became part of all the sessions. And that's the kind of spirit of collaboration, cooperation that we should create, can create. That is the charge that we have through our own collective Sankalpa. I believe that all the sessions that we have done here, all the sessions means all the sessions, including the morning sports sessions that we had. It was so wonderful. I didn't think that after this entire day of activities yesterday, all of you will actually wake up at 5 o'clock, get ready and be here at 6 o'clock to actually play the games in such a competitive manner. Inside the basketball court, it was constantly, it was reverberating. And there was the referees had a hard time. So much quarrels were happening. Outside in Kho-Kho also. Did you see Jaiminji jumping like Hanumanji, leaping? And those who were in the yoga session, our Utsahaji was bending so much. So you just felt like watching him. Why do I have to do yoga? Just let me watch him doing it. It is such a wonderful sight. But we were there to do it. And the other games that were happening there, you see that also. We don't have to think that only intellectual activity brings us together and creates that oneness. These activities also do, as long as we are sure, in the back of our mind, we are doing this for something bigger than us, something higher than us. Together, with that consciousness if we do, each and every activity becomes the shared sacredness. We can overcome any kind of difficulty that will come in front of us. And beyond that, we can make a positive impact. Light a lamp wherever there is darkness. It is interesting that the first summit was called Charayaveti, means move. Always be on the move, act. And the second one is called Sankalpa. Usually, action follows. It is only after Sankalpa that action comes. But last time it was important because we were just coming out of the pandemic. Hence it was important that we take the message, hey, let's move again, let's come out again. Let's meet again, face to face, not on Zoom and all that. And now again it is time that we have grown in this size on so many campuses, including high school campuses. Now we have the time and the quiet where we can think and take that Sankalpa. All of you have taken your individual Sankalpa. Let us follow that and take this collective Sankalpa also. And, kind of surrender ourselves. There is joy in that oneness that we have experienced. Every time individuality is not the only thing that gives us joy. But that togetherness also creates that kind of inner happiness that is uncomparable. So hence, let us experience and create that also. So individual Sankalpa as well as the collective Sankalpa is important. And then, when we surrender, in the Buddhist tradition they say, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, then Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami, and then Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Let us surrender to the three jewels. The enlightened one, Dharma that binds us all, and us the collective, we the people, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami, that believes in that order. To create that order, we have to surrender to the order. With that spirit, if we go, then the Upanishadic command that is there, that Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapyavaran, Nibodhata will come true. Uttishtata we are people who are aware. We have taken that first step. And then Jagrata, We can get up, but we have to be aware of what's happening around us. But stop not only at that point, that prapta viran nirobhodata. Go after the goal and achieve it. I think with that spirit, let us work on our own campuses, and may this continue to grow in numbers, in size, in impact, in a shared collective happiness that we can spread beyond this group and reach out to many, many more and create that kind of beautiful world that will be a kind of our own shared dream in the future. Once again, best of luck to all of you. Heartiest congratulations for this wonderful summit, the success of it. So many hours have gone into the planning, so many weeks, so many months, and so many Yuva Karyakartas have put efforts. Some of them couldn't be in the sessions. They're out there, they're preparing for the next session, they are making all these sessions smooth. To all of them, I think, together we have done something absolutely wonderful. I have really no words. There are many moments that I got goosebumps. And you know, there are the Yuvas, and there are some of us who wear Yuva t-shirts. Okay? Some of us are here. All of us felt that kind of feeling, getting those goosebumps. Please continue to give us those goosebumps. So best wishes for your individual career as well as Hindu Yuva dreams. Dhanyavad. Namaste.